making sure we maintain social distance. So today I have joining me Mrs. Veron Davis, who is the Executive Director of Student Support, and today we are going to read to you using Zoom. So today we will telecast through social media utilizing this platform. So good evening, Ms. Davis.
Good evening, Dr. Martinotz.
Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you very clear.
So thank you for joining me this evening as we prepare to read to our viewers. Are you ready?
I am.
So Ms. Davis is going to read a book to us called Fancy.
No.
Is that the correct book, Ms. Davis?
Fanny.
Fanny.
Fanny. Oh, so the difference between Fanny and Fancy is one letter. Fancy is F-A-N-C-Y, and Fanny is a name, capital F-A-N-N-Y. So is Fanny fancy?
Yes, Fanny is fancy.
Well, I think you're fancy too, Mrs. Davis. I love the fancy tutu.
Thank you.
So thank you for looking your best this evening. So, okay, girls and boys, 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me.
1, 2, all eyes on you.
So
Fanny.
all eyes are on Mrs. Davis as she will read, and Dr. Martin Knox will ask questions. So at this time, Mrs. Davis, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Fanny by Holly Hobby. For her birthday this year, Fanny had her heart set on a Connie doll. She had asked for a Connie doll for her last birthday and then again for Christmas too. It was the only kind of doll she wanted.
That's a nice doll. I have a doll. Is this the kind of doll she wants?
No, ma'am, that's not a Connie doll. Let's
So I
wait
have
and
to
see.
patiently listen to you read?
Yes, patience, please.
Okay, I can do that.
But Fanny's mother was very clear. I'm not going to get you one of those Connie dolls, so please stop asking for one. Mom, Fanny said, everybody has one. That was true. Fanny's two best friends both had Connie dolls, which they adored. The answer is no, her mother said. Why? Because I don't like the way the Connie dolls look, said her mother. They're just too much.
So does her mother think that the dolls were too fancy for Fanny?
Yes, and she thinks they were too much.
Or did she just think that, did Fanny think that she should have had a doll just because her friends had one?
Fanny was in such a fluster, she thought she'd pop. Then she had an idea. All right, she said to herself, I'll just make my own Connie doll. She cut up pieces of pink pajama top and sewed them into arms and legs and a longish body. She stuffed all the different parts with cotton and sewed them together. She drew a very cheerful face on the head, and for hair she used a bunch of bright yarn.
That sounds like my doll. No? Okay.
Fanny worked on her doll all afternoon, and at last she was done. There's my Connie, she decidedly. The doll just smiled. Fanny reconsidered looking harder at the doll's face in the mirror. Maybe Connie isn't exactly the best name for you. Then she came to her. How about Annabelle, she said. And Fanny clearly heard a little voice pipe up. The doll seemed to say, I like that name. Call me Annabelle.
So Annabelle. So Fanny now has a doll named Annabelle?
That she made herself.
I think that's very creative.
When Fanny's mother peeked into the room, she burst into a big smile. What a wonderful doll. Do you really think so? Fanny asked. She's not funny looking. I think she's marvelous, her mother said. That night, Fanny tucked Annabelle into bed and gazed at her for a long time. I made you, she said. I can hardly believe it. Maybe you are marvelous.
Maybe.
The next day, Fanny invited her two best friends to come over for her birthday, and they both brought along their Connies. Soon they were busy dressing them and combing their long hair and posing them as gorgeous models and sassy celebrities.
My goal is a sassy celebrity.
Before long, Fanny brought out her homemade doll. Guess what, she said proudly. This is Annabelle. Her friends didn't say a word. Fanny tried to include Annabelle in the activities, but her friends acted like Annabelle wasn't even there. She did look sort of puffed up and odd compared to Connie's, but Fanny had to admit. Finally, she took the doll into her bedroom and stuffed her into the dresser drawer. Come on, girls, Fanny's mother called. Time for cakes and presents. Fanny's biggest present was a real sewing machine along with a bundle of fabric, a box of assorted buttons, ribbons, and bright balls of yarn. Thanks, Mom, she smiled, but deep down she didn't feel like ever making anything again. I'm glad I never got a present like that, Tiffany said, laughing. I can't even sew. I like store-bought anyway, said Coco. It looks more professional.
So they don't like her doll because it wasn't purchased?
That night, Fanny couldn't fall asleep because she couldn't stop thinking about Annabelle. Maybe she was afraid of the dark, Fanny thought. Of course, that was impossible because she was just a doll after all. Or maybe she was lonely. That would still seem impossible too. But what if she was?
She may be.
Fanny went to the dresser and opened the drawer. There was Annabelle smiling up at her. Fanny frowned. I must admit, you are different. Then she heard the little voice again. The doll seemed to say, you made me. Don't you love me? Fanny lifted Annabelle into her arms. Of course I do, she said. She felt herself brighten with a warm glow. And I think you're beautiful. She carefully settled Annabelle into bed and snuggled close beside her. And you are so soft and cuddly too. Fanny said, good night, Annabelle. Sleep tight. Tomorrow is going to be a busy day. The following morning, Tiffany called to invite Fanny over to her house. Coco would be there as well, with her dolls, of course. I'll ask Annabelle if she wants to come, Fanny said. You can play with our Connies, Tiffany offered. We have extras. But I think Annabelle wants to come, Fanny told her. I'm almost positive.
So do you think Fanny's going to take Annabelle?
At Tiffany's, Fanny thought it was a perfect day to play veterinary hospital, and her friends agreed. The Connie dolls can be nurses, they cried, clapping their hands, and I think I know of a wonderful doctor, Fanny said. All afternoon, Dr. Annabelle performed operations on every stuffed animal Tiffany owned, emergency after emergency, while the glamorous nurses assisted. That evening, Fanny's mother looked into her bedroom. What are you up to in here, she asked. You've been so busy. I'm making some clothes for Annabelle, Fanny said. She only had one dress to wear. And she made Annabelle 2 new jumpers. She thought of something every little girl needed, and she made that too, one step at a time. This is your very own doll, Fanny said. What shall we name her? Annabelle smiling. We could call her Dolly, she said. That's too ordinary, Fanny replied. How about Sally? And now Fanny had heard a new tiny voice pipe up. I don't think I like that name, said Annabelle's doll. Well, what name would you like, Fanny asked surprised. Connie, said the new little doll. Call me Connie. Fanny considered. I'm sure there's never been a Connie like you. Yes, said Annabelle positively. Let's call you Connie. I'm so proud of Fanny. She was very creative. I think she's actually been to some STREAM camps for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math because she was a creative young girl.
I think that's a very nice story. My takeaway is that, one, she didn't allow her friends to convince her to do something different than what she wanted to do. She seems like she is her own self, and she makes her own decisions. What do you think?
I am so proud of her for being such a courageous young lady.
She is courageous, and she's creative. So I'm wondering how many of our boys and girls are actually using creativity to design things while they're at home. So I'm going to offer a challenge to our boys and girls. Make sure you continue to use your minds and be and do whatever you want to do, just as long as it contributes positively to your growth and development. So I think it's very important for our boys and girls while they're at home, they engage in creative activities as well, exploring all of the possibilities because the sky is the limit. And while we encourage you to engage yourself in STREAM activities, as Ms. Davis indicated, those activities include science, technology, reading or robotics, engineering, the arts, and mathematics. So please make sure you continue to grow, develop, engage in your work, but also take opportunity to be creative. Thank you, Ms. Davis, for joining us this evening. I hope you had as much fun as I have had.
It's been a pleasure.